We have been seeing some very concerning behavior lately. Wanted to know, is it because people are getting antsy or acting out because of the stay-at-home orders? We want to take a look at this.
Get out! Get out! No, stop it! Hey, what's
Take that video right there. This is a woman upset about the long line at a Red Lobster in Pennsylvania. She went inside to demand a refund. She was pushed out by employees who said customers were not allowed inside.
So there's cabin fever, there's economic stress. We've even seen an uptick in police pursuits lately. Joining us now to talk more about all of this is board-certified psychiatrist, Dr. Carole Lieberman. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Dr. Lieberman, question for you. There's so much uncertainty and change. Does that trigger different behavior and thoughts in us?
Absolutely. The lockdown has actually caused a lot of psychological damage. We are bubbling cauldrons of emotions, and we are now being let out of our little mouse holes into society. It's mainly, first of all, isolation causes all kinds of problems just in itself. They did studies on this before coronavirus, and isolation can cause physical problems like heart attacks, psychological problems like anxiety and depression and suicidal thoughts and PTSD and all kinds of things. And primarily, we are feeling angry and scared. We're angry about the coronavirus itself. We're angry that there is such a thing, that it has changed our world. We're angry about the different contradictory advice that we've been getting since the beginning of this. You know, clean packages, don't clean packages, don't wear a mask, wear a mask, those kinds of things. And things that make no sense to us, like the inmates are being let out and we're being told to stay in our homes. So people have had enough of this, and that brings us into being scared because they don't feel there's anybody that they can trust for the right answers, neither the doctors, the scientists, nor the politicians. And so they are acting out this anger. Of course, money is a big deal as well. And now that the lockdown has lasted this long, people are beginning to realize, have begun to realize, the scariest part, which is that we are becoming like George Orwell's 1984. A woman just got a $1,000 ticket for going into the park with her children. Things like we're told to snitch on businesses that are open. I mean, it is just too much.
Right, and of course we've seen another byproduct of this is we've seen spousal abuse, domestic violence increase. We had a pursuit the other day with a driver in a Prius who was accused of spousal abuse in this situation. So talk to me about advice, because what you're talking about I think is pretty universal. Most of our viewers can relate to what you just said. What should they do?
Well, I think everybody has to make the decision for themselves. But while they're inside, one thing they can do is to look at this, and to the degree that we still have to stay inside, we should look at this time as a kind of gift. You know, when we're going around to our jobs and other kinds of obligations, most of us feel like we're on a treadmill or a hamster wheel. And we just tell ourselves, oh, wow, if I only had time to read that book, or if I only had time to call that friend from back in the day. And we don't make the time, we don't have the time. And now we can look at this, try to put a positive spin on it by looking at it as a gift of time to do all these things that we wished that we could do.
I think, quickly, the concern for me is those that are suffering so much, who don't have the luxury maybe to stay home and read a book, because they're concerned about food on the table. How do you find some relief for them?
Yes, of course. That's a really big problem. People who have lost their jobs, lost their businesses. Now we hear about the shortfall in the state budget and so on. That is super scary as well. And hopefully, the charities and the food pantries and so on will be able to take care of that. But one thing I want to add, which is so important, we've been focusing on the logistics of things. Don't go outside and find a coronavirus sitting there. We have to concentrate on on ourselves on making our immune systems better, as best as possible. And the stress of all of these things that I've just been talking about, that weakens the immune system. So we just need to do, all the basic things, take immunity supplements, eat well, sleep enough. I mean, it's easier said than done, and get enough exercise. We have to go out in the sunshine and get exercise. That's all part of keeping ourselves healthy.
Right. You feel physically better by just sometimes going for a walk or a run outside. Dr. Carole Lieberman, thank you so much. Such an important issue, and we really do appreciate you sharing some insights for us tonight.